Hey everybody, Dr. G here. I'm a clinical and forensic psychologist as well as a body language expert, and today we're revisiting the behavior and body language of Gabby Petito and Brian Laundrie. As many of you probably already know, they vlogged together and traveled in a van in 2021. It ultimately culminated in the murder of Gabby Petito by Brian Laundrie in August of 2021. He disappeared, and his body was found in September of 2021. Before we get started with this, a couple of quick things. One, I wanted to make sure you know this is not a psychological evaluation of any kind. These are just my opinions. In addition to that, I do want to remind you to like and subscribe if you want to see more content just like this. All right, let's go. So what we're looking at today is police body cam footage. This is after a domestic incident was reported and they were ultimately pulled over. Let's just jump right in.
What's your guys' names?
Gabby.
I'm Brian.
Gabby, Brian? Okay. What's going on? How come you're crying?
Now, one thing you're already going to see, so she's obviously feeling a lot of emotion. She's crying. All of this looks and sounds very real. There's nothing performative about her tears. And something you're seeing about Brian is he's trying his best to engage with the police officer. So he's not being defensive. He's being very compliant. And that's going to be a theme that we're going to see throughout this, because when it comes to these kinds of domestic situations, you see people turn on the charm. You see them try to connect. You can already see at this point, he's trying his best to connect with the police.
There's been fighting this morning. Some personal issues.
It was a long day. We were camping yesterday, and camping got messed out, flies and stuff. I'm sorry I hit the bump there.
I was distracting him from driving.
So you can see he's leaning over, he's apologizing, he's trying his best to seem non-threatening. He's saying, I'm so sorry I did this. We had a long day. We've been out camping and all of this. And his posture says that he is not trying to be overly confident, that he's not going to be trying to challenge the police at all. So as you can see, this is going to be the approach that he takes. We're going to see a lot more of this as we continue to get into this body cam footage.
I'm sorry.
Can I get you to step out of the vehicle for me, man?
Yeah.
Just hang tight right there.
And you can see with her, she's looking down, she's shaking her head. She feels lost at this point. She feels defeated right now.
Do you mind if I take your keys and just put them on your hood?
You got it, buddy. I'm so
Thank
sorry.
you. Oh, no, you're fine. Mail that was in the passenger seat separated from the mail. Keys are on the hood. You want to tell me what's going on?
Yeah, I don't know. It's just some days.
So you can see this is someone who's genuinely trying to calm herself down. Saw her touching her sides, putting her hands in her pockets. She's doing a lot of behaviors that we call pacifying behaviors. She's trying to pacify herself right now, almost needing to try to get a deep breath in. You saw her lean over right there. Watch this part again.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just some days I have really bad OCD, and I
This is already the second time she's taking responsibility for problems. Basically, a second ago, when she was still in the van, she was saying it was her fault for distracting him. Now she's blaming something on OCD. We're starting to see a pattern with her as well for how she's going to take this type of issue.
I was just cleaning and straightening up the back of the van before, and I was apologizing to him and saying, I'm sorry that I'm so mean, because sometimes I have OCD and sometimes I can get really frustrated. I'm not like mean towards him. I just I guess my vibe.
So even though she's upset, based on what she's saying, she seems to be expressing things that are true. She's very open right now. She's very vulnerable. Despite the fact she's been trying to calm herself down because she is upset, she does seem to be open.
I was I really in a bad mood. And I was just saying, I'm sorry if I'm in a bad mood. I've just been really stressed. I had so much work I was doing on my, just quit my job to travel across the country. And I'm trying to start a blog. I just have a lot of stuff. So I've been building my website. So I've just been really stressed. And he doesn't really believe that I could do any of it. So that's kind of been
So when she said he doesn't really believe I can do any of it, that immediately hits her in the gut. She immediately starts leaning over. She puts her hands on her legs again. This is something that is genuinely and profoundly upsetting to her. So the things when she starts talking about the dynamics between her and Brian, you can see that those are the things that are really upsetting her right now. And it seems to do it very viscerally.
stressed, and he doesn't really believe that I could do any of it. So that's kind of been I don't know, he's down there. I don't know, we've just been fighting all morning, and he wouldn't let me in the car before. And then
Why wouldn't he let you in the car? Because of your OCD?
He told me I needed to calm down. Yeah. But I'm perfectly calm. I'm calm all the time, and he really stresses me out, and this is a rough morning.
So as she's talking about him stressing her out, you're seeing more pacifying behaviors. That dynamic really seems to be deeply upsetting to her.
Stresses me out, and this is a rough morning.
Well, why don't we do this? Why don't I sit you down in the back seat of my car? You're not in any trouble, okay? I'm not going to be putting handcuffs on you. You obviously don't have any weapons. I'm going to get you into the air conditioning, let you take a breath, relax a little bit, and then I'll come back and talk to you in a few minutes, okay?
Okay.
You see her picking at her fingers a little bit after this. Just, I think the idea of sitting in a police car is anxiety provoking for her. She doesn't seem to be scared per se, but that does seem to be something that's creating more anxiety for her, even though it's something that the policeman is trying to do to be nice.
Like I said, you're not in any trouble.
All right, you can already see he's all smiles. He's going to be turning on the charm, trying to connect with these guys. He's not upset that his girlfriend is upset. He's going to be doing everything he can to try to convince everybody he's not a danger to anybody. He's a nice guy. Why would he do the things that people at least claimed that he did? Because I believe, if I understand right, somebody called in saying that he struck her, and that's ultimately what led to them being pulled over.
What's that?
You talked to Gabby already?
Yeah, I just spoke to her.
Yeah.
So, you want to do me a favor? Let's go ahead and get you to step out of any trouble right now. So, tell me what's going on.
She just gets worked up sometimes, and I try and really distance myself from her. So, like, I locked the car and I walked away from her. What happened this morning is that she's trying.
So you could hear him saying she gets worked up sometimes, and that's the narrative that she has as well. I get worked up sometimes. That's what he's repeating. So whatever comes next, I think he's basically trying to apply that it's her fault in some way, that this is because she gets worked up. So whatever consequences there were of that is her fault. And this is sadly very common in these types of domestic situations, but that certainly sounds like what he's starting to do.
She just gets worked up sometimes, and I try and really distance myself from her. So, like, I locked the car and I walked away from her. Whatever.
So I'm the victim here. I try to distance myself from her being upset.
This morning is that she's trying to start up like her own little website blog and everything. So I give her time. We really had a nice morning, if anything. But
see, if you listen to the language, even her own little website blog and everything, it goes to frame how he sees it. That he doesn't see it as something that maybe she's going to be able to make a living off of. Whether she could or not is immaterial. It's just, it frames how he sees these things. And her reaction to that probably is because he uses similar language with her.
She just got worked up because we were trying to get going and get our day going because we want to go hike arches before this stuff like that.
Okay. You want to tell me about those scratches on you?
So you can see him wringing his hands a little bit. He seems more anxious than she does. She obviously is more upset. He seems more nervous right now. He's stammering a little bit as he speaks. He's doing more pacifying behaviors with his hands. He's maybe less open than she is.
She had a cell phone in her hand. That's why I was pushing her away.
So that's why I was pushing her away. Once again, whatever happened was her fault. She had a cell phone in her hand. I was pushing her away, trying to keep her away from me because she was worked up.
She wanted me. I locked the keys so I could walk away. I said, let's just take a breather and let's not.
You'll also notice that with his body, he stays a little bit to the side with the police. He doesn't want to engage fully. He keeps his face directed at them, but his body he keeps a little bit turned, a little bit anxious to fully engage with the police when he's talking about this.
Go anywhere. Let's just calm down for a minute. She was getting a little worked up, and then she had her phone and was trying to get the keys from me. So I got in the way. I was just trying to. I know I shouldn't push, but I was just trying to push her away to go. Let's just take a minute, step back, and breathe. And she got me with her phone.
Can I see your hand? Oh, you got a mark right here.
Oh, that's from a wire.
That's from a wire?
Yeah.
You want to tell me about hitting that curb?
Hitting the curb was her grabbing the wheel.
She grabbed the wheel?
Yeah.
So far, everything that's happened, anything bad has happened, is because of her, according to Brian Laundrie. She scratched my face. She made me hit the curb. She got too worked up. Once again, this is not that uncommon in domestic situations. It is tragic, but this is what people that are a little bit charming or knows how to get along with people can do. They can sort of manipulate these situations so that it makes them seem like, well, actually, I'm just trying to protect myself. I'm just a victim in this situation, but I can handle it. No big deal.
She said, I can't believe we're getting pulled over, and she did it.
What about the speed? Did she take over the pedal on you?
If I was going fast, I'm sorry. No, it's probably just the moment of, like, I'm still shaking now. The adrenaline, seeing the lights flashing up, and then her gripping the wheel, and so okay. And I was trying to keep everything calm and quiet because there's plans still to go for a hike, but then she gripped.
But as they continue to go, he's getting more calm. His body's getting more open. He's stammering less. I think he's feeling more confident based on how he's interacting with police right now.
sorry about that. Of course.
He's sorry. Everything's her fault, but I'm so sorry that anything happened. If I did anything, I'm so sorry. So he wants to present himself as someone who could never hurt anybody else. No, someone who could never actually engage in some sort of domestic situation. So the repeated apology, it's trying to make himself seem as though he could not be threatening in any way, shape, or form. And he's overcorrecting a little bit for that at this point, but he does keep apologizing. I'm sorry.
Of course. Do me a favor. You want to go ahead and just take a seat right over here on the curb for me?
And if I was speeding, I'm sorry. I want to apologize.
You don't have anything in my pocket or anything like that.
How many times did you slap?
Bravo, Romeo, India, Alpha, November.
And then what? And his reaction was to do what?
So right now they're asking her about the mark on his face. And now you can see her hands wringing more. Now you can see more of the nervousness coming out. Before, it was more sadness. It was more distress. Now it's more anxiety.
It's going to be out of Florida.
He just grabbed you? Did he hit you though? I mean, it's okay if you're saying you hit him, but I understand if he hit you, but we want to know the truth. If he actually hit you. Because, where did he hit you? Don't worry. Be honest.
So as she's saying, he grabbed my face, as she's playing that out, doing that in that way, playing it out in that way, you can see that she's feeling and thinking about it as she's talking about it. And oftentimes when people are connected to something very viscerally, they replay it. And so the way she held her face right there is probably very much how she was actually held.
Don't worry. Be honest.
You see, she did that and then touched her arm afterward to calm herself down.
He slapped your face or what?
And then when you turned your lights on, I kind of punched her arm
So she's saying like hit the curb. You said it was Gabby?
It does seem like she wants to take responsibility for things that happened, which is incredibly tragic in situations like this.
Quick question. You said you were hitting him in the arm. Did you grab the steering wheel?
No, I didn't.
You did not touch the steering wheel?
I didn't touch the steering wheel, but only for like a second, because I just saw the lights come on. And it was
So you can tell by her reaction. Watch her eyes right here.
Question. You said you were hitting him in the arm. Did you grab the steering wheel?
No, I didn't.
You did not touch the steering wheel?
I didn't touch the steering wheel, but only for
You can tell the way that she's talking right now, the cadence of her speech, that she doesn't realize that Brian said she grabbed the steering wheel. So she's responding as, no, I didn't grab the steering wheel, and is trying to explain her story. I don't think that she realizes that she is disputing something that he said that contradicts that.
Grab the steering wheel?
No, I didn't.
You did not touch the steering wheel?
I didn't touch the steering wheel, but only for like a second, because I just saw the lights come on, and it was more just like, you're an idiot, like, you know.
But did you grab the steering wheel and like swerve or anything like that?
No.
And once again, she's very connected with this. You can see that her body language is very strong there. She's very clear. No, I did not touch the steering wheel. And so I would be curious what she would say had she known that that's what Brian said, because he's trying to explain why things went down the way they did. He said that she grabbed the steering wheel. She seems very clear that she didn't. And her body language, even though she is a little bit closed off and looks uncomfortable, she does not appear to be deceptive in this way. So whether or not she grabbed the steering wheel, I would tend to believe that she actually did not grab the steering wheel, that he's finding ways to blame her for anything and everything that possibly happened. So right here, her body language appears open enough to where I think that she's telling the truth.
I didn't touch the steering wheel at all.
I'm going to go ahead and close this door again. Do you have enough air back here, or do you want me to kick it up some more?
Do you have any water?
Yeah, she's got some marks on her too. We're just trying to figure out what all happened, and I know you probably already told us.
You can see he continues to be all smiles, trying to make sure he connects with every single one of the officers around him.
Story. This officer is probably going to be the one handling the whole case. Do you want to listen to what he has to say?
And now you can see him standing with his hands in front of him. That's a way to show compliance, to show I'm going to comply with whatever it is that you're asking of me.
Yeah, so then you tell him what happened. So if you don't mind.
Start at the beginning for me.
Start at the beginning. Well, I don't want to go too far back, but we've been in BLM land for the past week or so, traveling around, and the flies here are pretty intense. So the flies have definitely been getting to her, and then my feet are dirty and everything. So I think that our little squabble started because we were hanging out at the coffee.
See, our little squabble is going to be trying to minimize any sort of interaction like that they had, to suggest she's crying so hard she's overreacting.
And when we got back to the van, there was some dirt and stuff in the van, and I moved our food around. It was a little disorganized, so she gets a little.
Will you take those two? Sorry about that.
It's okay.
Do you need any water?
It's okay.
It's hot out here.
We were going to get water because we ran out, but it's okay. No, it's okay. I don't like plastic bottles. It's okay. Thank you, though. But we just had a little disagreement there. And the disagreement was just that she was getting a little worked up, and I was saying, no, it's okay. Thank you so much.
And so even though this is a hand sign that can demonstrate compliance, he also is trying to protect himself. He wants to be more closed off here. He knows that this is a situation where if things are found out the way that they happened, that he could be arrested ultimately. So as he stands there, there is some level of defensiveness. And there also is, once again, the smiling, that he is trying to connect with everybody. He's trying to turn on the charm. Look at my crazy girlfriend. Look how emotional she is.
That's good.
So it was just more of a disagreement, and I just wanted to say...
What was the disagreement about?
It was, I wouldn't even call it disagreement. It was just that I'm dirty and I can't...
So he called it a disagreement, and when the police officer used his own language, he changed it because he's trying to minimize it so much. I wouldn't even call it a disagreement. He's making things as minimal as humanly possible to try to make sure that any reaction that she is having seems like an overreaction. And watch his body right here. He does have a hard time facing the officer entirely. There is discomfort being that connected.
So it was just more of a disagreement, and I just wanted to say...
What was the disagreement about?
It was, I wouldn't even call it disagreement. It was just that I'm dirty and I can't change being dirty. Like I got dirty feet, I got sand on my flip-flops and stuff. So there's a few little things, little relationships. I don't know if you're in a relationship, but I'm sure
I've been married for over 5 years.
See, I don't know if you've been in a relationship. He's trying to connect with the police officer. The more of a relationship he builds, the more he feels like he's going to be able to get out of this situation.
Years now. So.
There's a lot of little things.
Yeah, I can go.
And
I get it.
We really we weren't physical before the point where I said, all right, let's just take a breather and like walk away for a minute. I'll lock the van up and I'll go for a walk this way, and you can go walk that way on the block. You don't want to go anywhere. And my big fear is I don't have my phone. I don't have my phone. So she goes off without me. But I'm on my own. So I was saying, let's just.
So this goes to show how manipulators work, is that everything he says, if you really listen, makes him the potential victim. She could go away without a phone. I don't have a phone. She did this. She did that. She was wearing rings, which is, I guess, what he's suggesting scratched him. All of those things. And so you have to pay close attention to people like this, because when there are domestic situations and they're calmer and they can speak like this, they can connect with people, they can laugh, they are able to get away with these kinds of things. And this is extremely common. So we're skipping ahead a couple of minutes. There were some sidebars where the police were sitting and talking with each other.
Primary aggressor, and that she was striking you and you received injuries. You haven't admitted to striking her. She has not admitted to striking her. The witness did not see you strike her. So at this point, you're the victim of a domestic assault. That even if you didn't want to pursue this.
See, as soon as he said, you're the victim of domestic assault, look at the huge smile that goes across his face. The combination of relief and the fact that his manipulation is working. Clearly, it worked very well, because now he is the one who's being portrayed as a victim, which goes along with exactly what he was saying, minimizing everything that she's been through, saying, look how crazy she is, essentially, or how out of control she is. I'm just defending myself. But I really want you to keep in mind, this individual right here who's smiling and laughing with police and seemingly having a decent time at it, he committed murder not that long after this. There's so much anger sitting under the surface that he actually murdered the person he's with. It's almost hard to wrap your head around it. And for people that watch him and go, well, he is kind of likable, I understand why that happens, because he's trying to be likable. He's trying to minimize how he comes across. He's trying to smile. Now, many people, myself included, watch this guy and are disgusted, probably feel angry, but there's a certain percentage of people that won't have that. They won't have that kind of reaction. They might actually feel sorry for him, or might feel like, oh, he's being honest, or something like that. That's what makes people like this so manipulative and so good at being manipulative. Really scary stuff. I'm going to go back and we're going to keep going.
Striking her, she has not admitted to striking her. The witness did not see you strike her. So at this point, you're the victim of a domestic assault. That even if you didn't want to pursue this, we don't have a choice. The best thing we can do to not.
Continuing to keep his hands folded in front of himself, a sign of compliance, a sign of him trying to appear as innocent as possible.
In a tough spot. So unless you have an idea about how she could not go to jail and be separated, you have friends in town, somewhere she could stay. Tomorrow,
anyway, I was going to say, it definitely is. I'm not going to pursue anything. She's my fiance. I love her. squabble. I'm sorry that I had to get so public. But so I just want to get like the checklist of things I got to do to get rid of this. So there's an online court date.
Well, she'll get a paper with a court date.
How do I get rid of it?
So think about something like this. She has now been in this situation. She started it already blaming herself when she's the victim. And now he's going to walk away being the good guy saying, hey, I'm just trying to get this dropped. No big deal. Look, I'm going to do everything I can to keep you out of jail and whatever it is. And so this, once again, situations like this tragically happen. And how terrifying it is that this situation where he portrayed himself as a good guy, he walks away being the victim, that it ended in murder.
Well, the court date has to be attended in order for them to decide whether they need to continue or drop it. First, it's just an initial.
Now we're going to skip ahead to where they're talking to Gabby.
This is what I'm going to do. I've decided I am not going to cite you for domestic violence battery, okay? It was only going to be a Class B misdemeanor. However, the domestic violence portion of it enhances it. Makes like a major pain in the butt, especially you're 22, right? So I'm choosing not to cite you today. So you are not going to be charged with it. All right? But this is what I do have to do.
Look at the sad amount of relief that comes over her face that they're not going to charge her with this. And think about the chilling effect this is going to have in the relationship. That when you have somebody who commits abuse against you and then you feel lucky to get away with you not getting arrested for abuse, it's crazy. It's got to make you feel nuts. But she looks relieved because she blamed herself from the beginning, and that just adds to that narrative. It adds to people that are stuck in situations like this.
It enhances it. Makes like a major pain in the...
Now you see her pursing her lips like that. Now sometimes we do that. We withdraw our lips to try not to say something. I don't think she's trying to withhold saying anything. I think that's just a way for her to manage stress, which is the other reason we do that.
But especially you're 22, right?
And that's a real expression of sadness on her face right now. This is not a performance. And sometimes we see people fake crying and things like that. This does not appear to be inauthentic at all.
I'm choosing not to cite you today. So you are not going to be charged with it. All right? But this is what I do have to do. I am...
And she's trying to squeeze out a polite smile as they're talking, if you watch right here.
Right? So I'm choosing not to cite you today. So you are not going to be charged with it.
And unfortunately, people that are in Gabby's situation learn to do this. They're able to express emotions they don't feel. So there may be some relief that comes with this, but really it's supposed to be a polite smile or reaction because she's not being charged. The way she's feeling right now is that she wants to cry, which she's doing. But doing something like this, forcing a smile, is probably something that she's used to doing.
All right? But this is what I do have to do. I am separating the two of you tonight. Okay? I want you guys both to be...
So we'll go ahead and stop here. Hopefully this is helping you better understand some of the behavior and body language we saw from both Gabby Petito and Brian Laundrie. What an unspeakably tragic situation. And we can see how she, from the outset, was already blaming herself for everything. Brian Laundrie seemed more than happy to dump everything on her as well. So she walks away, just barely getting by with not getting some sort of charge for domestic violence, and he walks away getting to be the good guy, trying to charm everybody, trying to get along, trying to say, hey, see, I'm no threat, no big deal. All of this while somehow he's masking a tremendous amount of anger, so much so that it eventually leads to murder. If you have any other thoughts, please let me know in the comments below, or if there's anything else you want me to look at, I'd also like to hear about that. Last thing before we get finished up is I do want to remind you to like and subscribe if you want to see more content just like this. All right, thanks for watching.